Welcome, everyone, to the Green Room Pythons Snakes and Scotch live stream. Thanks for joining me. It looks like we got a bunch of people in already, and I have Damara here with me. She was happy to join me. She's been in that. Oh, we can actually see Kata. Look at this. Look at where Kata is. She's been in there with Kata, except she's been on the other side for the last 2 days. And early this morning, she came out from being squished between a hide. She was sitting just like Kata is back there. And she came out late this morning, so I put her back in her own little spot. And I just noticed that she was awake, so I brought her back up. So that's what's happening. I don't know if Kata is going to come out tonight or not, but if she doesn't, I got to pull her out tomorrow because I'm going out of town tomorrow. So I need to put her back. I mean, I guess I don't have to pull her out. All I got to do is give her a water dish in there. She's fine in there. But, anyway, it looks like a bunch of people are in. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. We've already got, looks like we have a couple kids in that are excited to make comments. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. Glad you all are here, regardless of your age. This is an all ages show. We don't want the chat spammed, though. So I'll just say that now. I'm not going to notice it any other time, but the moderators will once the moderators are in. I don't know who's in right now, but they would notice it later. I'm sure that it won't be a problem. So anyway, hi, everybody. So I'm drinking. Let me show you what I'm drinking. This isn't for the kids, by the way. We're drinking Irish today, and I brought 2 bottles because I thought I'd tell you a little bit about Irish whiskey, which I love. It's not Scotch, but it is whiskey, and Scotch is whiskey also. Teeling is a good Irish whiskey for those who want to try Irish whiskey and see if they like it or not. It's inexpensive. It's like around $30 to $36, something like that, at least here in California. And you can get it just about anywhere. But what I'm drinking right now is one of my very favorite Irish whiskeys, which is Green Spot, and it's almost twice the price, so it's relatively expensive. And whenever I'm drinking something that's more expensive and I want it to last, I start on the Green Spot and then I'll switch to the Teeling. But you always want to start with the better, the better liquor. So there we go. Clint from Black Box Cages is in. Hi, Clint. Clint emailed me this morning and gave me a lead on someone who could potentially make our Glencairn glasses with the Green Room Pythons logo, like I have, that we've been talking about in other live streams. So I'll talk to him and we'll see how that goes. My biggest issue with this, you guys, other than not being able to find anyone who can do it for a reasonable price at all, even if I found that person, my biggest issue is that I don't want to be shipping inventory. Like, my merch store ships from they make the stuff and they ship it to you when you buy merch. And the only shipping that I do is for Patreon folks, for t-shirts and sticker packs and stuff like that. So anyway, we'll figure that out because I know there's a small handful of people that really want Green Room Python's Glencairn glasses, and I want to make that happen. So we'll give it a shot. Taylor's in. Speaking of moderators, hi Taylor. Hi Brianna. Brianna Making and Wandering is in. Seeing Azar is in. Candy's Critters, Northern Serpents. I'm skipping some people. Sorry, you guys. I'm just going fast. I'm seeing Hog Strictors in here. I'm just seeing people that I know from Patreon. Kathy Conway's in. Hi, everybody. Hi there. I feel bad when I start naming people because I'm not going to be able to name everybody. But I see you. I see you all, and thanks for being in. So what else did I want to talk to you guys about? We might be feeding some snakes tonight. In fact, I will. I'm going to feed some snakes tonight. I've got food ready for. I'm feeding so many snakes tonight, but there's a few behind me that we'll do that you guys will be able to see. So we'll do some of that. That'll be later in the evening. We're not going to start those shenanigans for a while. And yeah, and then the other thing is reptile shows. Let's talk about reptile shows while people are jumping in. I'm doing a bunch of reptile shows in the next couple months. And so we're doing, this weekend is the Las Vegas Reptile and Exotic Pet Expo. So I'll be there. If you're going to be in Vegas, come say hi. And then I believe I'm doing the Anaheim Reptile Show, which is soon. And then shortly after that is the Sacramento Reptile Show, which I believe I'm doing. And then I for sure am doing Tinley this year, which it'll be my first Tinley Park and ARVC show. I'm very excited. So I'll be at that. So if you, we're doing meetups with my Patreon folks, the Horde of Keepers. We're doing one this weekend, this Friday in Vegas, and then we're planning one for Tinley, and then I'll plan ones for these California trips also. So that's happening. But if you just randomly see me at a reptile show, come up and say hi. Don't say I got shy, or don't message me and say you looked busy or I got shy or whatever, because I get that all the time. And I don't have a camera here, but basically I look like this. It shows. Pretend this is a camera. That's what I look like. If you're going to see me, I'm going to look like this. Right? Which doesn't seem too inviting, but I just don't know what I'm doing with my camera. So come say hi. I'm always happy to meet folks. And I always have to say this because there's a lot of new people in the live stream, and welcome new people. So here's the deal. I will not be able to follow the chat while we're doing this because I can't read and talk at the same time. So I'm not going to see the vast majority of the messages that come in. I do read the chat the next day, but I can't respond to it. So if you have a question that you want me specifically to answer, or if you have a comment that you want me to see in the chat, super chat. That will highlight it, and I'll see it. If I don't see it, once Amy gets here, she'll see it, and she will let me know. Amy's not here yet. She told me that she would be late. We don't know what time she'll be here, but hopefully soon. But I will try to keep tabs on the super chats and get to those. So that's the deal. If you have a question though that you just want answered, ask it in the chat, and there are a bunch of experienced keepers who give good advice. So just ask your question and then look at the chat, and you'll probably get an answer. If you want me to answer it, super chat it so that I see your comment because it highlights it. So that's that. And let's see. What else did I want to say? I think that's it. I've got a bunch of Patreon questions to get to. We got 4 pages of Patreon questions. You know, the folks over in the Horde of Keepers are great at coming up with questions for the Q&A to keep this live stream going. And you guys are great at doing the super chats, which oftentimes keeps it going. It did last time. I mean, last time was my birthday live stream, so I think there were more super chats because of that. But just on a normal live stream, there's a lot of super chatting happening, and I appreciate it. So let's get started with these. Crisis Corpse, who I think I saw in the chat already. I think Crisis is here. And also, I think I'm meeting Crisis in Vegas. So we're starting out with this question. Where in California is your favorite place to explore and herp, of course? You know, I love the Mojave Desert, which is where I'll be herping tomorrow night. I'm very excited about that. But specifically Joshua Tree National Park, which I won't be at tomorrow, but I will be in the high desert tomorrow. But Joshua Tree, you know, we did a herping event with the Horde of Keepers there a year ago. We'll probably do another one soon. it's cool. It's real cool. It's just beautiful. But there are so many. I mean, California has so many beautiful. There are like redwood forests and stuff like that, which I absolutely love. It's just those aren't reptile dens. If I'm herping, I'm going to the desert. If I just want to be camping, I'm going to go to Northern California, get into those big giant redwood trees. Good question. Odstrictors, David says, hey, Bob, I recently started watching the show Resident Alien. Good choice. If I remember correctly, isn't your house snake named Harry Vanderspiegel any relation to the name of the main character of that show? Wouldn't it be funny if it was just a coincidence? If I was like, no, I've never seen that show. It's just a coincidence. His name's Harry Vanderspiegel. Yeah, I named Harry that because obviously Harry Vanderspiegel in the show Resident Alien is an alien, and Harry's eyes are so freaking big, he looks like an alien to me. So and Resident Alien is one of my favorite shows. And by the way, fans of Resident Alien, how sad are we that that show is canceled? This is the last season. Such a bummer. Hopefully, like Netflix picks it up or something like that, and they can continue. But I'll say this: hopefully, Netflix picks it up and doesn't ruin it, because many of us know what happened to Arrested Development. That was canceled, and then Netflix picked it up, and then it wasn't good. It wasn't good. I still watched every episode because I love Arrested Development so much, but it wasn't good. Math and Company, thanks for the super chat. Any advice on a new ball python hobbyist, or for a new ball python hobbyist? Wow, that's a big question. We could do 4 hours of live stream just on answering that question. I would say that my biggest, best advice is to, we always talk about research, but real research is delving into science. And what we're talking about with research is just read as much as you can, watch as much as you can, go online and learn about ball pythons from people who are experienced. Not just me. I mean, I have tons of videos that you can learn from, but learn from other people too, because everybody has different perspectives, and there might be a way that somebody keeps snakes that you might like better, or might fit better for you than the way I keep them in certain aspects. So just do a lot of that. Damara is heading home right now, so I'm going to let her. We'll get another snake once she's happy. We'll see what she wants to do. She might turn around and come back in. Okay. Thanks for that super chat. Okay. Candy's Critters is asking, are all the babies spoken for? Good question. That's a, oh, Basil, I see your super chat. I'm going to grab that in just a second. That's a question that has to do with the Horde of Keepers, because I sell my snakes only to the Horde of Keepers, and I put 3 up last week, and they all were spoken for immediately. 2 of them are shipped out as of today. They just got shipped out. But the third one was spoken for by someone in Canada, and then I had 2 other requests in Canada. Once I realized that they were in Canada, I was like, oh, I can't send the snake to Canada. So I still have my normal. He's right here, actually, in front of the tub. Let's see if he crawls out onto my hand, as he often does. We'll give him a minute. He's a normal. He's not normal. He is double het sunset clown, which is an awesome het combo. But he's also such a cool pet because he crawls out onto my hand all the time. If he chooses to crawl out of his tub tonight, you'll see him. We'll just give him a minute, and I'll answer this super chat. We got a couple super chats happening on giving him my hand. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, I was drinking with my buddies. Later in the night, we were reminiscing about the days we had pythons. I then bought 31 pythons. Help. What? Hold on. A couple weeks ago, you had 0 pythons. Now you have 31 pythons. I don't know if I can help you with that. My guess is maybe you invested and bought somebody out. Somebody was getting rid of all of theirs, maybe. Is that what was happening? Congratulations. And then I would say, you know, I would say double that advice that I was giving to the brand new person. You're not brand new because you had them a while back, but husbandry has changed, and a lot of what we think about these snakes has changed. So I'm sure you're, I mean, obviously you're watching this live stream, so you're into refreshing your knowledge. There's a little baby that's still available. This is available only to the Horde of Keepers. So if you're in the Horde, this little guy is an awesome pet, but also would be a really inexpensive way to get into the Sunset Clown Project if you're a breeder. JG, thanks for the super chat. My wife Joyce loves your show. Gonna 3D print you. I love that. I love that you're watching, but it's your wife that loves the show. And when you say, somebody said, I don't know if it was you or somebody else last live stream talking about 3D printing me. Are you talking about like an action figure of me? Because if that's the case, make it pro wrestling style, where I've got like the little tidy shorts and just make me ripped. You know, that's how I want to be. That's awesome though. I love that. We got all kinds of super chats. You guys, come on. Omega, thanks for the super chat. Odd question: could ball pythons have allergies that could cause scale rot? Had them for a month and a half now, and humidity is 85, temp 75 to 80. I keep the tank clean. So first of all, as far as the temps, you know, you want your hot side closer to 88 and your cool side closer to 80. So I don't know where the 85 is. Maybe that's like in the middle. But I don't know about allergies. I don't think I've ever heard of a snake having allergies, but maybe they could. It wouldn't be an allergy that causes scale rot, though. Scale rot is generally caused by too much moisture. So even though your humidity is 75 to 80, there might be a very wet spot somewhere on the substrate that the snake is sitting, and that's causing scale rot. Let's see, you're saying it's scale. And scale rot is usually at the bottom of the snake. Mouth rot is kind of the same thing, but around the mouth. So anyway, I would take that snake to a exotic vet and see what they say about it. But somebody put in the chat, or if you're watching this afterwards in the comments, if you've ever dealt with a snake with allergies. That's a really interesting question that I don't know the answer to, and I've never thought about. Jessica, thanks for the super chat. Do snakes become aggressive by feeding in their enclosures, or should you feed them in a tub? This is a great question that we cover this a lot, because people new to the hobby get in and they hear the old information, or they talk to pet stores, which is still giving old information a lot of times. And yeah, the idea used to be that snakes get cage aggressive if you feed them in their enclosures, and that's a myth. What happens is that snakes, in general, a lot of times, not so much ball pythons, but other species, will be food aggressive. So they think you're feeding, but pulling them out of the cage and putting them in another tub to feed them doesn't take that away. What helps with that is tap training. So you take a snake hook or anything, a paper towel roll, whatever, and just touch the snake with the hook and let them know that something else is happening. I think people think that snakes are like get trained really fast on this, that they understand what this is. And I think eventually they get trained on it, but really what's happening here, when you take a snake that's in food mode and you start messing with them with a hook, like you stroke their back or whatever, think of food mode as like being in a trance, right? Because the snake's not thinking, they're not in thinking mode, they're in this food mode trance, right? And then something happens. All of a sudden, a stick is rubbing on their back or touching their head or whatever. It snaps them out of that trance. They come out of food mode and they start thinking, what is that? What's touching me? What's going on? And it just switches their mode. So whether they're actually trained on that or not. But anyway, that was for everybody else. That just something that I wanted to say. I'm going off on a tangent. I guess. But the point is, don't feed your snake in another enclosure. There's no reason to, for one thing, and you risk potential regurgitation or just general stress. You know, if the snake never regurgitates, it's still stressful for them to eat a big meal, have their belly full of stuff, and then have a big monkey pick them up, jostle them around, put them back in their cage. There's just no reason for it. So just feed them in their home. Their home is a great place where they know that they live and they're safe and they eat their food and they drink their water. All their stuff can happen in their cage. That's great for them. Basil, thanks for the super chat. I've bought proper enclosures and dedicated a full room to them now. I'm going to try to see this through, but I do need advice. Okay. Well, I don't know what specific advice you need, but, you know, obviously you can find everything that you want to know on YouTube. I'm going to put this little guy back. On YouTube and anywhere else that has snake information. Some information is not great. I would say a lot of the Reddit stuff that you find, many of the Facebook groups, not all, but many, are pretty rough with regard to information. You know, I have videos where I would say that just about, I've been making videos for long enough that just about every question that you have could be answered from one of the Green Room Pythons videos or any of these other creators that are knowledgeable about snakes and have lots of experience, you know. Although the question about allergies, I don't have any video that answers that question. El Balasan 1, thanks for the super chat. Do you think it's ethical to breed the spider morph? Yes. I'm not going to get deep into it, but yeah, it's a spider ball python. For those who don't know, a spider ball python ends up with an inner ear issue that creates a slight wobble, usually, sometimes a severe wobble, but it's pretty rare that it's severe. And those snakes usually do just fine in life. They you know, as long as they're not too stressed. If they're in a very stressful environment, that wobble gets worse. But they're usually really great eaters. They live a long time. They do just fine. I don't think that they are special needs enough to say, oh, we shouldn't breed these at all. But that being said, I don't breed spider ball pythons because I don't want to deal with that. So for me personally, I don't breed them, but I don't have a problem with other people who do. I will say that it will lower the value. You know, if you're trying to be a breeder and you're trying to sell snakes, you know, you want to create the snakes that you like, right? So if you like spider, that's great, but just know that with the spider gene in the mix of the other stuff that you're doing, that will lower the value of the snake just because it comes with that potential problem. I mean, it is a problem. Every spider has a wobble of some sort. A lot of times it's very minor and you can't even see it, but sometimes it's you know, as major as corkscrew, you know. And it's also something that people love to argue on the internet about, and I don't ever get into those arguments. So that's where I stand on it. I'm not judging people for breeding them, but I personally don't breed them. Blamco mac and cheese, love that. Is Tradacantia zebrinia safe for bioactive ball python enclosure? I keep seeing mixed info on this one. I have no idea what that is. I cannot answer that question. I don't know what we're talking about. Is it a plant? Hang on. Now I'm curious. I'm guessing because it seems like a drug, it's probably a plant. Oh, it is. Spiderwort plant? Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, I don't know. There are usually when I don't know a plant, I just Google, is it safe for snakes? And what that does is it'll pull up a list from some website of safe plants and not safe plants for snakes. And I'll tell you, there aren't many plants that are unsafe for snakes. There are some, but not too many. And the reason is that a lot of the plants that are unsafe for animals, it's because if the plant is eaten by the animal, it's unsafe. And snakes don't eat plants. So, that's that. But I don't know of that plant. If anybody comes at me with the Latin name for a plant, I'm never going to know what you're talking about. And 90% of the plants that you come at me with the common name, I'm not going to know what you're talking about. Because I'm just not a big plant guy, despite what you see all around me. I try my best to keep them alive, but I know close to nothing about them. But I try. Ghost, thanks for this super chat. Gas money. I appreciate you, Bob. Thanks so much. We'll call it electricity money because I will be spending money charging my car on the way to Vegas this week. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Thing about electric cars, I can charge at home, but when I'm on the road, I gotta stop and pay for it, and it's like it's not cheap. It's like it's probably half the cost of if I was paying for gas in California, at least. But still got to do it. Stop and charge up. Pay for that. Electricity. Alan David, thanks for the super chat. My little ones, Catherine and Scarlett, have noticed Kent is rarely on since you moved to your new location. They want to know why and if he will be back more regularly. They miss him. That's really nice. I'm glad that they enjoy Kent. Kent is working part-time these days, and he's in about every third video or so. And there's some videos, I do when I'm doing out-of-town videos, Kent's not with me. And, if I'm doing reptile shows or something out of town, whatever, in the green room, he's in about every other video, But yeah, there is less Kent lately, and it just has to do with the fact that he's more part-time now. That's the deal. But you'll see him in an upcoming video that I'm working on right now that he's in. Corey, thanks for the super chat. Hey, Bob, I just got my first ball python. Unfortunately, she's a bit bigger than the description I received. Do you know if it's of a cheaper option of getting 4x2x2? I'm currently living on VA disability. You could look, the thing is, those are not cheap cages. A PVC cage, period, is not cheap. You could look online and see if anybody's selling one. A lot of times they're sold on Craigslist. You're not going to get them for free like you can a fish tank, but a lot of times you can find them on Craigslist for pretty cheap. And then you could potentially build one depending on your skills. You could build PVC, you could build wood. Wood you got to be careful of because it'll warp and there's some other issues. Don't build it out of pine or cedar. It'd be weird to build a cedar cage. But yeah, I'd look for a used one. That's the way to go. I am Cooper Lane. Thanks for the super chat. Are plastic hides truly optimal or just convenient in captivity? Don't stone/clay hides better mimic natural thermal gradients with top-down heat? No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. If you have an overhead heater and then you've got a hide there, that plastic heats up just like a clay hide would. Most of us use plastic hides mainly because they're easy to deal with. They're light and easy to pick up and move around and such. I have tons of hides. I have a bunch of these black box hides, which are thicker. They're PVC. And then I have a whole bunch of plastic hides, especially baby ones. Oh, I don't have any in front of me. I thought I did. Got a ton of baby hides, stuff like that. And if they were all stone, that would suck. Like you want to be able to stack a whole bunch of them. But I think they do fine. Harry Vanderspiegel, my little house snake, has 2 stone hides that are way too big for him, but he seems to do fine in them. And I don't think they heat up any more than plastic does. But a lot of people like the stone because of the way it looks. So do that, you know, if you like how it looks. Hang on, scrolling down. Oh, we got more super chats. David, hug stricters. Jealous you get to herp the Mojave tomorrow. So cool. Have fun. Be safe. Find all the rattlers. Hit the like button, everyone. That's nice. David, you want to go with me? You want to drive up? You can. I'm literally inviting you, David. If you come over tomorrow, I'm gonna leave in the afternoon. You can follow me because I'm going from there to Vegas. But you can herp at night with me if you want. I'm gonna hang on. I'll tell you something. Hi, Zara. Thanks for the super chat. This is for Zubair Craft. They would like to see Echo, please. Oh, they would they? Well, do I want to get bit by Echo is my big question, because she's getting fed tonight. I wish I had this video for you guys. Hold on. Hold on. We'll deal with Echo. Let me finish telling David. I'm going to Barstow, David. That's where I'm herping at about 8 p.m. So you'd be driving up there. And I guess I'm telling everyone else, if everyone else wants to find me in Barstow, that's where I'm going to be tomorrow night. Okay. Echo is right here. I was making a video yesterday. I was shooting a video, and I got her out, and she does a thing where I can tell when I'm not even looking at her. I can tell when she's getting ready to bite me, because she'll stop on me. So in this case, she stopped on the back of my neck, and she's just tongue flicking, totally still tongue flicking. And I was like, as I'm talking in this video, I was like, she's about to bite me. And a lot of times when I pull her away, when she's in food mode, she's in that trance, right? And she's I'm not. This is not food, lady. When she's in that trance, she's kind of like, she knows it's not food, but she really wants to bite at something that maybe it's food, right? And so a lot of times when I pull her away when she's in that mode, she will slowly open her mouth, like wait, I wanted that, right? So I'm editing my video yesterday after I shot it, and I go through that piece, and I didn't see it, but I pulled her away, and her mouth is wide open as I'm pulling her away, but I didn't see it, and she closed it right when she got into my eye line. She closed her mouth. I should have clipped that and got it ready for you guys so I can show it to you. But that is what she's like right now. So I will try to get her out. Hey, lady, come here. And we'll just see how she does. Can you let go of the hook, please? All right. Here's Echo. She is growing quite a bit. Miller, thanks for the super chat. Let me know if you have a question to go with that. I don't know if I'll see it. I'll try to see it. Somebody try to help me out. Hang on, let's see. I'll try to keep my eye out for Miller if you have a question to go with that super chat. Okay. Okay, I think we're done with the super chats at this point. So anyway, Echo's really looking for food. She might be starting on building follicles because she's been she's always super food motivated, but even more than normal. And so I gotta sort of keep my eye on her. But I've been feeding her more than Stella. Not a ton more, but she might get an extra meal occasionally in between feedings, because if she's trying to build those follicles, that's an important thing as far as size goes. We are. I mentioned this in the last live stream, but I've been talking to Garrett Hartle over at Reach Out Reptiles about potentially breeding her this year or next. And so this, hey lady, I'm putting her back because she just really wants food. Nope. No way. So anyway, I want to support her in her follicle development if indeed that's what she's doing. And supporting her is just giving her a little bit more food. But the other body language thing with Echo is that she starts squeezing me tight. Like I can just tell. I know her so well when she's in food mode because she's in food mode constantly. And there's just these little things that I can tell that she's going to be a problem. So, you know who's not a problem though? This one. This one could be looking for food all day, but not a problem. And that's what that was. I just, oh, you probably didn't see it. I just opened that and she, in food mode, whipped around. There she is. Hi. Oh, I'm not feeding, lady. I'm not feeding. So she's not really, I don't ever have to use a hook on her, so she's not really hook trained. But what I'm doing here is just kind of snapping her out of food mode, getting her into thinking mode. And it's not the nicest thing to do the way I'm doing it because I'm kind of touching her head and she doesn't really like that. But it gets her into thinking mode instead of, she thinks I opened her cage to feed her. So she's living in a shoebox right now. That shoebox is usually in the snake wall room, and that's her favorite box. 2 days ago, I pulled her out of the snake wall room and put her back in her cage. And she just was in that box, so I bring the whole box in and put her in the cage. And she has not been out of the box for 2 days. She's still not out of the box. I mean, she's poking her head out of the cage, but she's not out of the box. So, Red Sonia, thanks for the super chat. You are very appreciated. We love you. Oh, thanks, Red Sonia. That's very nice. I appreciate you as well. All right. Here we go. We're back to the Patreon questions. I'm going to close Stella's cage shortly. I thought on the off chance that she wanted to come out and roam around, I would let her do that, but she is just sitting there waiting for me to hand her food, and that's not going to happen. So here we go. Kevin says, hey, Bob, I'm currently working on my first bioactive setup. It's a 4x2x2 PVC enclosure. It has a screen top. With your experience, how much of that should be covered in order to keep humidity and temps, yet have good airflow for my ball python as well as bioactive substrate to thrive? I mean, ideally, all of it should be covered. If you don't have slits in your, those cages, if you look at Stella's, the top corner there, you can see the slits in it. If your cage doesn't have those, then maybe have a little place in a couple of corners that aren't covered, but everything else should be covered. Now, if you're using a overhead lamp type thing, where you can't cover you cover everything except for that lamp is, then that's where your airflow is going to be. But if you're not using that, if you don't have that, then make sure a couple corners. Okay. Lindsay says, hi, Bob. Is it normal for a baby snake to take longer than 2 weeks to shed? He was in blue and then cleared up well over a week ago. Still nothing. It probably shed, and you don't know it. It's usually about a week. So when they're in blue, it usually takes about a week for the process. It depends on when you notice the process, but if it's been over 2 weeks, then your snake has shed, cleared up, shed. And what happens a lot of times, especially with baby snakes, is if they shed and sometimes they leave a long shed laying and it's super obvious, but sometimes they roll it up into this perfect little, it looks like a condom or like a rolled up condom. And for a baby snake, it can easily be hid under substrate or, stuffed in the corner somewhere and you just don't see it. So good chance that is what you're looking for, is a little round shed condom. All right. Elizabeth is asking, my question is for everyone watching. If you're enjoying this, would you please hit the like button and subscribe if you want? That's very nice, Elizabeth. Yeah, if you're watching this, if you like the show, hit the like button because that helps YouTube, the algorithm, to know to push it out to other people. If people are like, oh yeah, we like this. And then subscribing, this is an important thing. We're coming up on 100,000 subscribers. And I'm also coming up on my 5th year of doing this channel. I would love to hit 100,000 subscribers before year 5. I don't think it'll happen. We're not quite on track for it. We'd have to have a big push for subscribers, but it's like December sometime is when I started this channel. I'll have to see, but if you watch the channel and you're not subscribed, hit subscribe because it really doesn't matter as far as like my income or the channel. It's all about just, it's cool to be at 100,000 and YouTube sends you a plaque. It's just a cool thing. Like it's not doesn't really make a difference in the scheme of things, but it's cool. So, if you want to subscribe and you haven't yet, please do. That's all I got to say about that. Let's see if I've missed any super chats while I was rambling about subscribe. So silly. Okay. Let's see. Matt says, do you start all your hatchlings off on Frozen-thawed? If they do not take it, do you try live or do you just keep trying with Frozen-thawed? A little bit of both. I do try for as long as I think it's safe to try for. A lot of times babies just aren't ready to eat. I find that they're much more ready to eat about a month after they hatch. And sometimes I try to feed earlier just based on my schedule or whatever. But ideally, I find that they're more likely to take if they're about a month old. But sometimes they won't take right away. So then I offer the next week. They don't take, I offer the next week. It's usually 4 or 5 offerings. And then I start deciding, okay, do I need to go and get a live? And rarely do I need to get a live, but occasionally I do. So yeah, but it's not just, if they don't take on the first offer, I go and get live. They've got to refuse a bunch of meals. Azara, thanks for the super chat. What will you do with your dope new plaque? Probably something silly. It'll probably show up in cages and it'll probably be moved around. I'll probably move it around based on the video. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It's not going to be like, I'm not going to hang it on the wall though. I don't think I'm going to do that. Watch, I end up hanging it on the wall. I think it'll just be set in cages occasionally and just around the place, whatever. I mean, I'm definitely going to show it off, but I'm just not going to hang it on the wall. That's the story with that. Let's see what Stella's up to now. Okay, she's coming. Okay, here we go. Okay, Phil had a long one. Basically, his snake stayed out all night. A lot of these Patreon questions I edit for brevity because a lot of times they're long stories. So his snake was free roaming. His ball python was free roaming. Stayed out all night. Phil's asking, is it okay to let a ball python stay out of their enclosure overnight? If your house is safe, if the room that they're in is safe, then sure, but keep temps in mind. You know, you don't want a digesting snake sitting out in a cold room all night. You know, I mentioned that Kata and Damara were in that cage for the last few days. Kata is still right there. That white, that is her, squished under there. I don't know how long she's going to be there, but I don't mind leaving them in there because that cage has the heat on and it's actually got good parameters. So if I leave her in tonight, I'll probably just put a water bowl in there for her. But she hasn't moved from that spot in a couple days. So what else was I going to say about that? Yeah, so you got to think about that. And then I have left Damara out accidentally overnight. And she was just behind this big stand-up mirror that I had. And that wasn't that big of a deal. But normally I like to put them back in their cages because they have their humidity, they have their temps. One thing the snakes don't have in that empty cage is humidity. You know, they got their temps, they've got all the stuff that they need. So I try to have them all back before I go to bed. Is the idea. And oh, she's going back in her cage. Okay. I think she's looking for food. I think she's really into food right now. I'm kind of sad because I'm feeding Echo, but I'm not feeding Stella. So, and Stella, they always know when the other one's getting fed because it usually happens right back to back. So she's going to know that Echo's being fed and then she's not going to get food. I feel bad about this. Maybe I'll give her something. Okay. Anyway, Phil has another question. Also, would it be okay to let Maxine, a ball python, and Lucy, a new baby corn snake, free roam together? Lucy is 1 month old. I hope you're not free roaming a 1 month old corn snake. First of all, my guess is that your question is once the corn snake is an adult, because if you free roam, I mean, I don't know, maybe your free roaming room is just a white room with nothing in it. Then you could roam a 1 month old corn snake. But yeah, don't let a 1 month old corn snake out. But once they're adults, once the corn snake is an adult, potentially you could. I've always said that I probably wouldn't free roam colubrids because they're just wily and they're faster and they're crazy. And I feel like it's easier to lose a colubrid than it is to lose a ball python. But, you know, if your home is secure enough, and I think mine probably is, but I still probably wouldn't free roam a colubrid. But they're going to be fine together. It's not like they're going to fight or anything, which I think is probably the question. Nathan, thanks for the super chat. First, I got a ball python just over a month ago. She's doing perfect. Great. She's in a bioactive and eating good, but I haven't noticed any dropping. Should I be worried? No, you shouldn't, because they don't poop very often. They go when they're ready to go. And a lot of times it's, you know, if this is a baby ball python, usually they poop every couple of weeks or something, but not necessarily. And it also depends on how much you feed them. Some will poop after every meal and some store it up and give you a big poop later. And then when they're adults, you know, some only poop when they shed, like every 6 weeks. You know. Giorgio, thanks for the super chat. Hi, Bob. Greetings from Italy. Just wanted to thank you as a new subscriber, learning a lot on snake behavior and discovered pythons. Thanks to you. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. That's cool. All the way from Italy. Glad you're on board with us. Thanks for that, Giorgio. Glad you're enjoying it. Okay, scrolling down, and getting back to, hold on, I'm pouring a little bit more green spot. This will be the last of my green spot for the night. We'll switch to tealing after this. Okay. We're already through a page on the Patreon questions. You guys, I think we're doing pretty good here. Corey says, so I'm about to get my first ball python. How can I get her to transition to Frozen-thawed? I've got some videos on this, but you know, the thing that I always say is just offer a Frozen-thawed. They'll probably take it. There are tricks. If they don't, there are tricks that you can do. You know, first of all, make sure it's warmed up properly. Make sure that you're holding it, wiggling it around, you know, doing whatever. Try to wiggle small at first, and if they don't take it, pull it back and put it in front. You know, do a couple of different offerings or different ways to offer like that. But you got to make sure that that head is heated up enough, meaning about 110 degrees is what I heat the head of my rodent to. And I use a hairdryer to do that. And the other benefit of using the hairdryer to heat up the head is if you do it in front of their cage, it blows all the scent of that rodent into their cage. Your snake's going to come out looking for a rat in food mode. And so they're not thinking. They're gonna strike first and ask questions later. And once they've struck, they're going to eat the rodent. So usually it's not a problem at all. But then if it is a problem, there are tricks that I have videos on that talk about it. But people talk about it online all the time. Oh, I got to switch my snake from live to Frozen-thawed. And so it's talked about a lot. But for most ball pythons, it's not a problem. So best of luck with it. Okay. Kayla says, if you were to get another snake, what would it be? Well, I'll tell you, because I'm going to these reptile shows, and I have a very small list of snakes that I would potentially buy if I found them at a reptile show. I'm looking for a male pygmy python. I need a male. So if I saw one at a reptile show and it looked good and it was healthy and the breeder was reputable, I would probably buy that one. Mike at Mike's Monitors, I talked to him the other day. Dave Kaufman was at a reptile show and called me, and he was like, hey, Mike's got a male pygmy python. And he had one, but it was just too big. It was, I kind of want a small one, you know, a baby. And this one was several years old, like much older than Pip. And I want one that I can kind of raise up, and then I can breed him in a couple of years with Pip, you know. So that's it. And then Kayla also says, does Kent change the lyrics from TLC's Waterfalls, like instead of don't go chasing waterfalls to don't go chasing sneaky snakes? You know, Kent likes to keep the sanctity of TLC's lyrics pure. He's often wearing his Walkman and reciting their lyrics, but he goes word for word accurate. And I think it's just the respect for TLC. But also, if he thought of it, he might, but I don't think he'd think of something clever like that. So don't tell him I said that. He doesn't watch these live streams. Brianna said, oh, I just saw Spencer in here. Hey, Spencer. Good to see you. That was super random that I just peeked up for half a second and saw that logo. Good to see you here, man. Spencer's probably going to be here pretty soon. We've been talking about having him come down and join me for a live stream. Spencer, we got to make that happen. Maybe next month. Brianna says, do you like to read? If so, what is the best book you've read recently? You know, I do enjoy books, but I got to say, I have not read a book recently. I have not had time to read books. To just sit and read a book would be lovely. I have not had time to do that. Although I will say I do have time to binge shows occasionally, and I choose to do that instead of reading, but I do enjoy reading. I haven't read anything recently. What's your favorite meal/dish? You know, I'm an Indian food guy. Like if I could have Indian food every day of the week, I would. I like palak paneer. I like chicken tikka masala. So many Indian dishes, tandoori chicken, coconut chicken. I'm a big chicken guy, but yeah, Indian food, not super hot. I'm not into the extreme heat. Okay, all right, lady, you can be up there. She's up on her Show you. She's up on her basket. She's got her little chin. Oh wait, I can actually show you this, I think. Watch this. No, she just moved. She had her chin on. This is a terrible shot. Sorry, guys. I was trying. She had her chin on the top of that basket. You know, she doesn't have a basket in her cage anymore. She doesn't fit in it at all. But occasionally, she still goes up there and sits on a basket because it is her favorite thing. All right. Let's move around. Make sure I haven't missed any super chats. Amy is still not here to back me up on these. Okay. All right, Kristen has a couple of questions. I have 2 ball pythons and 1 hognose. They all eat very well straight off a dish. That's cool. The pythons still strike and wrap. Is it okay mentally for them without the simulation of moving them around with tongs? Yeah, that's fine. The only reason we move them around with tongs is to get them to eat. And if you give them a plate and they eat, that's perfect. Damara does the same thing. I put the rodent on a plate for her. Lately, she's been striking. Sometimes she wants to strike off tongs. She's fine striking off tongs. So I always offer it to her. And if she doesn't strike within like 3 seconds, I know she's not going to strike. And I set it in her cage and close the door and she eats it. But she's been striking. I feed her once every 3 weeks now. And I think because I moved to that schedule, she's more ready for it. So she strikes more. But anyway, yeah, we just whatever gets them to eat. You know, if they don't eat off the plate, then you got to offer it to them and pretend that it's alive. So next question. Just got my 2nd ball python. I haven't held him yet. He ate after 6 days. He's always in the hide, and I need to start socializing him. Is it okay to take him out to start socializing? Yeah, I mean, you can take him out of the hide if you want. I wouldn't do it every day, but you can do it occasionally. And their behavior will change eventually. You'll see them out more eventually. They're still, let's see. Did you say how long you've had them? It looks like you probably haven't had them very long. And so once they get a little bit more comfortable, you'll see them out more. I need to get a snake, don't I? I need to have a snake like in my hands. Who should I get, you guys? Tell me who you want me to grab, and then and let me do the super chat real fast. Nathana Hebreski. Can I just say Nathan? Nathana? I'm going to say Nathana. Thanks for the super chat. I'm sorry I'm butchering that name. She also loves being held. Oh, wait. Is this referring to something that I was just saying from Patreon? She also loves being held in free roam supervised. She's a baby. She literally comes out to the door when she sees me. Should I continue if she wants? Not during shadow feed, literally like a dog. Hang on. Should I continue if she wants? Do you mean should I let her out if she wants to come out? Sure. Yeah, if that's what you mean, yes. Yeah, let the snake out if they want to come out. And you want to hold them, for sure. It's a great way to do it. Okay, so we got a vote for Maya there. We got a vote for Freya, but Freya is coiled around her eggs right now. She is maternally incubating. So we're not going to see her for a couple months. Month and a half. She's been on for a couple weeks now, I guess. So about a month and a half. We got some votes for Handsome Dan, Banjo, Maya, Harry. Okay. All right, we got some options here. Well, let's see. Hang on. Let me take care of because Maya is out. I could easily grab her. Let's take care of this food crazed snake. Hi, babes. Hi. We're not doing food right now. We are not doing food. We just put her back in her cage there. Crazy. Okay. And then get Maya out. She's in food mode also. Let's wait till she, I will get her out. I want to wait till she moves into a better spot. Let's see if I can get Banjo though. Oh, Banjo also, everybody's looking for food right now. He's crazy, this guy. Okay. So definitely not getting Banjo out. Maya might be able to come out later. They're both getting fed tonight. Is Clint out already? All right. Thanks for jumping in, Clint. Good to see you, pal. Have a great night. Oh, Pip, that's an easy one. We can easily get Pip, you guys. Definitely gonna get Pip. Could you see? I'm gonna have to watch later, but was I blocking Banjo? Could you see how crazy he was when I touched him? He's like that when he's in shed. He gets real defensive, but I don't think that was defensive. I think that was food. I think he's really looking for food right now. So he's lucky. He's gonna get some. All right, let's get Pip. So you guys, if you want a snake that's just easy to get out of their cage at any time, don't look at these reticulated pythons and these black-headed pythons. Get a pygmy python. They're just easy all the time. Pip is putting a little bit of size on. She is, I think, I don't have any pygmy pythons to compare her to, but my guess is that she's a little bit small for her age. She's 2 years old, and she is about 50 grams. I think there are other 2-year-olds that are probably closer to 100. But her body condition is good. So she's doing well. Let me see if I've missed any super chats while I've been up to all these shenanigans. No. Okay, so let's go back to Pippers. Oh my goodness, look at you. Oh, Pip's gonna get fed tonight too. Oh, in fact, I bet we could just feed Pip right now. Hang on. Let me do a. Why is everything falling? Let me answer a question here, and then we'll. My guess is that Pip's food is room temperature at this point. You can give her a little snack. Next question here is from Brian Singleton. All right, Brian says, after moving from a heating pad to a smaller enclosure, from a heating pad in a smaller enclosure to a radiant heat panel in a 4x2x2, I've realized that the substrate and the surrounding area will be 88 to 90 on the warm side. but then inside the hide, it'll only be like 84 to 86 max on the substrate. Yeah, that's about normal. When I measure the roof on the inside of the hide, it's a little warmer than the substrate. If the substrate itself is not at proper temp, is it okay long term if the heat coming off the roof is coming off the roof instead of below? Yeah. So what you're asking is it okay if they get their heat from above instead of below? Yes. And usually they do get their heat from above. Like in most setups, they're getting their heat from a heat source from above. And that's fine. It's, your inside your hide is always going to be a little bit cooler on the substrate than outside your hide. So, and that's okay. They'll get enough warmth. Miller, thanks for the super chat. Pip has charisma. Yeah, she does. She does have charisma, and she's the sweetest lady. She's just the nicest little snake, and smart, and not concerned about anything. She's just a delightful young lady. I have some snakes where their personality. Lucille is like this as well. Just a personality of like, whatever is fine. If you're going to get me out of my cage, that's fine. I'll just look around here. Oh, we're going over here. That's fine. Like nothing phases them. Pip is like that. Nothing phases. All right, let's see if we can feed her. This is it's a bummer that Amy's not here yet, because this is when I usually put Amy on so that she can keep you company. But I'll try to be fast. Talk amongst yourselves. Have a really interesting conversation in the chat that I can read tomorrow. Give me just a second. All I have to do is take the tongs. I'll yell as I'm doing it. Hang on. Okay. I got the tongs. I'm opening the bag. I have the rodent. Okay. We have upped the size of rodents for Pepperoo. This is so if we look at the size comparison here, this is slightly bigger than the largest part of her body. I'm squishing it so it looks even bigger, but it's a big rodent for her to eat. I'm so sorry, you guys. You didn't see the strike because I was holding her just off camera because I wasn't paying attention. But there we go. She will put that down, no problem. That is it's not a hopper. That's a large fuzzy mouse. We have Lane Labs has small fuzzy mice and large fuzzy mice. And right now, Dr. Harry Vanderspiegel is on small fuzzy mice. We just upgraded the size of his prey items also. And Pip is on large. Azara, thanks for the super chat. Do we have any insider info on snake spies? We don't. Tara has been doing a lot of cons lately. She's been out of town a lot. She and Willie are at one this weekend, I think. And I'm supposed to get together with them next weekend. So maybe we'll talk about snake spies next time. Last time I saw them, Amy Bentley and I were at their house and hanging out, and we didn't talk about snake spies at all because we were doing other stuff. Yeah, we gotta get on that. We gotta get on that. So this is real fun and interesting for a lot of you to watch this, and for some of you, you're like, "Oh my god, it's so gross." So apologies to those who think this is awful. We just have little pippers taking a little snack, Let me see if I missed anything. I don't think I have. All right, so let me grab this, put it back in front of the camera, and I'll read my next. Oh, here we go. Lisa says, so I want to get a snake for myself. All the other snakes in the house are my daughter's. I was thinking of a smaller snake. I have a slight neurological condition and need a snake slower than a corn snake, because I have a tough time keeping up with their antics. I was thinking of a spotted python or an African house snake. Which one is more docile for a beginner handler, in your opinion? Well, I'm going to suggest the spotted python for sure, and it's not because one of them is more docile. I mean, both of them can easily be docile, but your African house snake could be super docile but still real fast, and if it wants to be. And a spotted python is still a python. Pip, who's very closely related to a spotted python, Pip is small, and you would think that she could be real speedy and darty, but she's not. She's slow because she's a python. So I would stick to pythons, and you're right in looking at the Antaresia species, spotted python, children's python, pygmy. The thing about pygmies is that, number one, they're way more expensive than a spotted python or Stimson's or children's, and they're for some people, I think they're too small. Like I have enough. I like a big snake. My ideal size snake is like the super dwarfs, but I have those, and so it's cool. I wouldn't have gotten Pip as my first snake, but since I have the ones that are ideal for me, I love now having the smaller one. So I think a spotted would be a great size. Spotted pythons get around 4 feet, and they're thin. They're not super thin, but they're thinner than ball pythons. So it'll be smaller than a 4-foot ball python. So my shoulder is starting to hurt, so I'm just going to move Pip. Oh, there we go. Move her back. I'll hold her like this for a while. Okay. Oh, we're on to another page, you guys. We're flying through these. I don't think we're going to have a 4-hour live stream this time, and that's okay. We don't have to do a 4-hour live stream every time. I'm trying to do this with one hand. Oh, smart, Pip. Look at that. Wrap it up and eat it that way. Oh, come on. Just lost it. Turning a page with one hand on the clipboard is not the easiest. Okay. I'm doing it right by the microphone, too. That was a lot of page turning ASMR. There you guys. Nathan, thanks for the super chat. Nathan is fine. She's about 125 grams, almost 4 months old, 1.5 feet. Is adult mouse too big for her already? No, not at all. Adult mouse is an adult mouse is fine for a brand new baby. So at 125 grams, they could take a rat pup, and an adult mouse is usually about the size, if not a little bit smaller than a rat pup. So I would switch. For a ball python, I try to switch them to rats kind of as soon as you can, just because you want them used to eating rats. But if they're on mice right now, that's fine, and an adult mouse will be fine. Like a medium to large, a large mouse would be fine for this thing. And I mean, I say that I'm imagining the sizes that Lane Labs sends me. So you kind of have to judge it for yourself. Like if you're going to the store to get it, you got to know how thick your snake is and judge it by the thickness of the snake. Because some people call a large mouse something different than what other suppliers call it. Darlene, thanks for the super chat. My 1-year-old children's python is 30 grams. I can never tell when she's shed. Her eyes don't turn blue. Is this an Antaresia thing? I don't know if it's an Antaresia thing. I mean, I can tell when Pip is in shed, but it's because of her skin, not her eyes, because her eyes are so tiny that I can't see her eyes well enough to be able to tell if they're blue. But she does get dull. You know, her color gets dull. But, you know, some snakes, it's harder to tell. And also, you've got a 30 gram, so a little bit smaller than Pip. And it just might be tough to tell at this point. But as that snake gets bigger, you might be able to tell it easier. You know, you might have an easier time with it. Okay. Okay, Red Sonia. Her question is, tell me a secret. Okay. I need everyone to cover their ears for this one, except Red Sonia. She's saying, tell me a secret. So I'm telling this to Red Sonia only. All right. Red Sonia. For the last 10 years, I've been living in basically a witness protection program. I have been hiding out from basically governments that are looking for me because I worked as a spy. My Pentagon clearance is the biggest problem with this, is that my Pentagon clearance has gone from the highest level to now I'm code yellow, which gives me a little bit of clearance, but it's just embarrassing that it's quite a bit lower than it used to be just because I'm in the witness protection situation. And that's really why I haven't told anybody, is because I'm embarrassed about the lower clearance level. So, all right, everybody else, you can take your fingers out of your ears. Thanks for not paying attention to that secret. Okay. Sheila says, we got our first ball python a couple weeks ago. She likes to come out at night once we're all in bed, but hangs out in her hide all day. I know this is normal behavior. We want to interact with her and always have to take her out of her hide. Is this okay to do? Yeah, it's okay to occasionally take your snake out of their hide. You know, it helps if you use a hook rather than your scary hand. You know, it's less scary for them if a hook comes in and picks them up and then they're placed in your hand rather than this big claw coming at them. You know, so yeah, you can do it occasionally, and then as you find that they come out a little bit more, you see them a little bit more, maybe right before you go to bed or something like that, you can interact with them at that time. You know, Douglas, a lot of times, Douglas, who's right there, maybe we'll grab Douglas here in a second as soon as Pip finishes this. Douglas is looking for food too, and he's going to be fit tonight. You know, I could go in and pick him up anytime, but I try not to bug him. He doesn't sit in a hide. He sits on that. You see that gray thing on this side of me? He sits on that ledge. And when he's sleeping, I don't want to wake him up and mess with him. So I usually wait till he's out and on the glass like he is right now, and I'll just open that glass and he'll come right out onto my hand. You know, so that's kind of the ideal, is when they're out, you can work with them. But if they're not coming out, you know, a couple times a week, maybe you could pull them out. Red Sonia, thanks for the super chat. You are a mess. I'm one of your handlers, whatever that means. You're one of my handlers? I don't know what that means. Thanks for that super chat. Yeah, I don't know what that means, Red Sonia. You're talking about in the spy situation. I had one handler. Her name was Tanya Vargas. Is that a pseudonym for you, Red Sonia? I don't know. I had already, from the time that I told that story until now, I had already completely forgotten about my double life. And then Red Sonia once again reminded me of it. That's twice now that she's reminded me of my double Willie G says, what size enclosure do you recommend for a small locality super dwarf like a pure Calitoa male? And would you recommend Bioactive for them? Also, what class do you play in D&D? Well, I don't play D&D, but I did once. I did once in the Horde of Keepers Discord for the Patreon folks in Discord because they play D&D. And when we first started it, I played, and I was a bard. Is that a class? That's a class, right? I was a bard. So that's my answer for that. But your other question, what size enclosure for a small super dwarf? So here's the thing. First of all, sure, Bioactive, because both of mine are in Bioactive right now. Bioactive is great for super dwarf. And I would say give them as much room as possible. I will say that a pure Calitoa is probably going to stay small, but I've also seen a pure Calitoa that was 10 feet and like this thick. I'm trying to do this without disturbing Pip so much. Like this thick. So, you know, that snake was probably overfed, but still, you kind of never know a little bit. But, you know, you get a male, it's going to be a little bit smaller. If it's pure Calitoa, you got it from Garrett or somebody that you know is trustworthy when they tell you it's pure Calitoa. It's probably going to be small. And then, but you're also, we're not talking about the size of the snake. We're talking about the activity level of the snake, right? Because even if the snake stays small, they're kind of all over the place. And so my recommendation for a super dwarf is give them as much room as you possibly can. These cages for my snakes would be too small if they didn't spend half their time outside the cage, you know. I'm okay with them in cages like this because it's where they sleep. But if I'm home, those super dwarfs are out, and then I'm okay with the size cage that they're in. But if they were in their cages most of the time, I'd want them like in a 6 by 3 by 4 feet high, you know, something like that would be amazing. Obviously, I don't have the room for that, but they have the entire snake wall room that they spend almost every day in. So I'm all right with that. I am Cooper Lane. Thanks for the super chat. By the way, Pip has finished her mouse. I'm going to put her back. Hold on. I am Cooper Lane. I'm going to get to that super chat in just a second. I just want to put her back so that she can work that down into her belly. All right, Pipperoo, here you go, babes. Oh, big belly girl. Okay. If you don't mind, just one more moment while I wash my hands. Because she got rodents on my hands a little bit, which is gross. All right. I know you guys want to see Douglas. We're going to grab him in a second. Okay. I am Cooper Lane. Thanks for this. I don't know what, just the start of the sentence is confusing me, but that's okay. We'll figure this out. W Stone, I can achieve floor temps in hot hide only 5 degrees lower than surface. Do you achieve floor temps with plastic? Oh, with stone. Oh, I see what you're saying, because you had that thing about the stone without the surface being too hot. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. I mean, you might do better with stone. You know, you might be able to make those temps better with stone, but the temps, you know, I don't want the top of the hide to be 150 degrees. But the top of the hide is usually a little bit hotter than the ideal temps, but my snakes aren't going to curl up and bask on the top of their hide. And then the inside of their hide is a little bit cooler. The outside of the hide is right at the temp. But you know, the temps don't have to be exact. So you might be able to get them closer with stone, you know, than I get with plastic. So, and that's cool. I just, most keepers, especially breeders, use plastic because it's just much easier to deal with. Oh, is my mom in? People are saying hi, Mama Blood. So, yeah. Oh, wait, I just saw her. Oh, there we go. Hi, Mom. I'm on, folks. Just had to fix and eat dinner. Bob, your dad says hi, but he's watching the very sad Mariners game. Okay, cool. I'm sorry the Mariners aren't doing well. But hi, Mom and Dad. Good to see you guys in here. Lynn's Love Snakes, thanks for the super chat. Coming in late to this, just wanted to say hi to you, Bob, and hi to the horde. Oh, that's nice. Thanks for jumping in. I'm glad you're here. We can start over if you want. Should we start over, you guys? Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. Here's question number 1. No, I'm kidding, obviously, because I can't start drinking over. Okay. Oh, I missed a super chat. Thanks, Candy Scritters. I just noticed this from Darlene. Okay, hang on. Let me go find it. Thanks for. There we go. Thanks for your eye, you guys. I appreciate that. Oh wait, no, hang on. No, we talked about this one. Is this what we're talking about? The children's pythons, 30 grams in shed? Yeah, we talked about it. We got that one. Is there any others that I missed? I don't think so. Scrolling up now, because now I'm nervous about it. I think I got them all. Okay. Omega, thanks for this super chat. Could I send you an email of my ball python and maybe see if you or chat could give somewhat of an idea of what his genetics are other than inchy? So I'm not the best morph guy, and people always want me to ID their snake, and it's tough. It's a tough thing to do. I'm not a super big morph guy. I mean, maybe I could ID it if it's something really crazy and obvious. But I mean, by crazy, I mean, it's obvious. You know, if it's obvious, I'd be able to do it. But otherwise, with most morphs, I'm not going to be able to. You could always post it in Discord. I would do that. Go to the Green Room Pythons Discord. The link to that is in the description of this video, and post it in there and see what people think. And if I see it, I'll give my 2 cents. But I'm just not good at IDing morphs. That unless it's a morph that I work with, you know. But out of the 500 or so that are out there, I don't work with many. So let me get to this super chat. Katie Lolly, where's your sister? We're still waiting for her. Hi. While trying and failing to set up a ghost cam in your your kitchen. Hold on, Katie, do you have a ghost in your kitchen? We got to talk about this. We're going to talk about it later. I need to know all the details. Send me a Marco Polo tomorrow. Tell me about this ghost in your kitchen. I love that. And where's your sister? We need Amy. I need to be able to pull Amy up every time I get up and leave. By the way, let's see if we can get Douglas out here. He's moving around. He's in a less convenient spot than he was when I last was talking about him, but hi, pal. Hi, bud. So the cool thing about doing choice-based, you know, people talk about choice-based handling, and the cool thing about doing choice-based is it makes it so that your snake is so comfortable with you that during times when you need to grab them and pull them out, it doesn't freak him out. So Douglas is totally non-freaked out by my hand just coming in and grabbing him. You know, he's like, "Hey, let me get up on that hat." But Douglas is a cool snake, you guys. I like him. Big fan of this little scrub python. Sorry, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, let's get back to these Patreon questions. Hold on. I just out of the corner of my eye saw another super chat from Lind Loves Snakes. Thanks for this. I'll send another to say I reached a milestone tonight. My bestie, who's afraid of snakes, held my boa for the first time earlier. I'm so proud of her. Oh, that's so cool. That's great. What a great feeling that is, right? When you help somebody. Like, I think helping someone get over any fear would give you that feeling, but I don't regularly help people get over their fear of heights or whatever. But I do help people get over their fear of snakes, and it always makes me feel so good. I have a neighbor who's like, I don't know, 70 years old, and yesterday she has seen me out with snakes, outside with snakes this week a couple times, and she's come out, and I've had her touch the snake and everything. And she told me yesterday, she goes, you've given me a whole different perspective on snakes. I'm not scared of them at all anymore. Which she probably never in her life will encounter a snake. She's a 70-year-old woman that doesn't regularly go on hikes. But, the fact that she thinks differently about them is cool. She was hanging out with this snake yesterday when she told me that. She quite liked Douglas. So anyway, congratulations, Linz, on and congratulations to your friend too. That's cool. Nathan, thanks for the super chat. What's a good small arboreal snake? This one right here, Douglas. Although he won't be small. he's a great snake for you to have right now, but not for long. It depends on what you mean by arboreal. All of my arboreal snakes are semi-arboreal. Douglas is semi-arboreal. And if you want a fully arboreal snake, a green tree python is a great choice. They're real cool, and they're pretty small. If you don't mind being bitten all the time, Amazon tree boas are real cool. They're small. They're arboreal. They look awesome. They're just going to be real angry with you. They're not. It's not going to like you at all, and that's okay. No, they're going to put holes in your skin, but it's almost worth it. So I like those. I'm not selling that snake very well, but they're pretty cool. And then, but we're talking small, so I mentioned that because that's small. Green tree boa is small. I mean, a green tree python is small. Emerald tree boa is not small. So those are good options, I think. Let's see where we're at on this. Douglas has been looking for food lately, so I don't know that he would slip into food mode while he's posted up in my hat, but I just haven't had him on my hat enough to know if he would do that or not. So I want to just make sure that he knows that he's still being handled this whole time. So I'm not trying to get bit in the face. He is the sweetest little guy, but scrub pythons have strong food response. So slipping into food mode and biting me would not be out of the question for him. Let's see where we're at. Okay. Kaylee says, my husband and I have 2 juvenile ball pythons. Our female Penny is very shy and never comes out of her hide. She shows signs of wanting to strike, but she never has. How can we get over the fear of handling her? She's very beautiful. We're just terrified of getting bit. Okay. So first of all, get a snake hook. That's going to help. You know, if your snake is, you know, choice-based handling is helpful, but it doesn't always work with ball pythons. So if your snake is sitting in the corner and you're trying to get them out, a snake hook is the best way to go in and pick them up, right? And obviously, if a snake is in strike position, you come in with your scary paw, there's a good chance that you'll get bit. Getting bit is not a big deal. Look at my videos about bites. You'll learn that it's not a big deal, but I also understand the fear of getting bit. It's startling, you know. And then the other thing is you could get some gloves that a lot of people feel more confident wearing, like garden gloves or something like that. You probably won't need to wear them for long. Eventually you'll realize, oh, I don't need these. But that might help starting out, help you be a little bit more confident to handle your snake. A hook and some gloves. Leather gloves, garden gloves, anything like that would be fine. Okay, Barbara says, let's see, I think this might be a couple questions or it's just one big long one. Hi, Bob. Is it possible that some snakes have a preference for white rats as opposed to rats with color, or is it just my imagination? 2 of my ball pythons turn their noses up at anything that isn't pure white. No, it's not your imagination, Barbara. A lot of people talk about this, that their snake has a preference for color or not color or whatever. It's not just a preference for white, but either way, some prefer black, some white, whatever. I've never experienced it. And I have a feeling that a lot of the people that say that their ball python has a color preference, it's just a coincidence that they, you know, they offer their snake a black rat and it doesn't take it. So they go, all right, let me try this white one. They offer the white one and it takes it, right? So then they go, oh, it only likes white rats. Well, I've got this snake that I just shipped out, baby snake that I just shipped out the other day that that would only take their food on the second offer. So I had to offer the meal and then let him refuse it and then shut his tub, let him think about it for a few minutes, and then re-offer, and he would take it. So so that, I think that kind of thing is what's happening. A lot of times that's a common thing for snakes, is they've got to think about it for a minute. If they're not into striking immediately, you just offer and you let them know, hey, this thing is around, this rodent is around, so are you hungry? Figure it out. And then you close their cage. You give them a few minutes, come back and go, what do you think? And maybe they'll take it. If they don't, close their cage. Give them 10 minutes. What do you think? A lot of times they'll take it. So I think a big breeder that's feeding hundreds of snakes doesn't have time to mess with them. They just go, oh, you're not going to take it? All right, I'll offer next week. But if you've got time to give it a few offers, give that a try. And I think that's a lot of times what's happening, though, with these color, these snakes that people think have a preference of color. Maybe they do. It's possible that they have a preference for color, but I also think that a lot of times it might just be coincidence. Yeah. All right, we got some super chats here. Hang on. Just make sure that I'm caught up. Brady Bentley, look at this. You guys, we're hearing from Amy's sister. We're hearing from Amy's husband. Hi, Brady. Good to see you, man. Hi, Bob. What are you listening to lately? I know it's not snake related, but I love sharing our music interests with each other. Sorry, Horde. No, that's cool. Music interest is a good question. We don't talk about that enough. What am I listening to lately? Music. I haven't been listening to a lot of music lately, but let me think. You know, trying to think of Brady, I've been listening to podcasts lately, and I know you're disappointed in that because you're such a music guy. But I've been listening to podcasts and trying to think of if I've listened to anything different than you know what I end up doing that where I listen to music is I watch reaction videos of like does anybody watch the Charismatic Voice, which is she's a voice teacher. She's a incredible opera singer, and she was raised on opera and classical music, and she never was never grew up with like heavy metal music. She never heard it really before, and now she's like in her mid-30s and listening to heavy metal for the first time, or started to. Now she's been doing it for a while, but she does reaction videos, and she talks about she's a genius at what's happening vocally with people, and her reactions to these songs are really great. So I listen to a lot of music via that kind of stuff, reaction videos. But I don't have a good answer to that, Brady. Sorry. I need something new though to listen to. You know what I was listening to the other day is that James Blunt Monsters, because I'm not a crier, but I feel like I should. I feel like I'm one of those guys that didn't. I wasn't really raised like that. You can't cry at all. But I think just our society, especially the era that I came up in, boys just didn't cry. We weren't criers, right? So we have these emotions that are not easy to let out, right? So if you have the problem of not being able to cry, look up Monsters by James Blunt and just listen to that song and tell me you don't cry when you hear that song. So if you feel like you need to let some tears flow down your cheek, listen to Monsters by James Blunt. You guys know what I'm talking about? Comment in the comment section. I want to know if you've watched that video, the music video to Monsters, and didn't cry. I want to know what robots are in here that aren't crying watching that video. All right. And Brady, if you haven't watched that video, I definitely want you to, and I need to know your reaction to it. Tyster, thanks for the super chat. I've recently been working super hard on an enclosure for my king snake, but everyone on TikTok just has negative things to say about it. If I sent you an email, could you take a look at it? I've had a lot of people asking to send emails. I just looked at some of these enclosure earlier today that they wanted me to look at. I'm curious as to what the people on TikTok said. But yeah, you can send it. I mean, the best thing to do is join the Discord and post it up on Discord, the Green Room Pythons Discord. Everyone there is super nice, and you can get some feedback. But you can email it to me as well. I'll be able to look at it. My email is greenroompythons@gmail.com. But if you post it on Discord, you'll get more opinions. You know. Here we go. Sabasan, thanks for the super chat. Bluegrass musician and newish Horde member here, welcoming my first ball python this month after a long period of research. Thanks for your content and for creating a welcoming and inclusive space in the hobby. Oh, that's so cool. Congrats on the new snake. And that's awesome that you're a bluegrass musician. Which instrument do you play? I'm a big fan of bluegrass. I didn't mention that when we were talking about music, but I love bluegrass. And I love the sort of I hate the word new grass, but that's what they call it when it's sort of pseudo bluegrass. There's a lot of bands that I quite enjoy. I will listen to Trampled by Turtles for about 20 minutes during a drive, and then I got to go on to something else. But I enjoy the fast-paced. Trampled by Turtles has been around for a long time. For those of you who don't know them, they are a bluegrass group, but they all started in punk music, so it's super fast bluegrass. Except they've got a number of like slow songs too, but their fast ones are super fast, and those are fun. But I love Punch Brothers. They are not usually bluegrass music. You know who I love to listen to that does a lot of old school bluegrass is Michael Daves, and especially Michael Daves and Chris Thiele when they get together. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, look up Michael Daves and Chris Thiele and just listen to some old school bluegrass done at breakneck speed by insane musicians. Some of the best mandolin player possibly to ever live, and maybe the best bluegrass guitarist ever, in Michael Daves. That's some good stuff. Look up Michael Daves and Chris Thiele. Now I've got all the music stuff in my head. I didn't when Brady first asked me that question. I went blank for a while, but now I got all the stuff. All right. Atlantis Jackson, thanks for the super chat. Speaking of podcasts, you should listen to We're Alive, a zombie story of survival. It's multi-actor and very fun if you like zombies. I love zombies. I'll take a look at that. That's cool. I enjoy a good podcast. I drove from Los Angeles to Seattle and back, and I think the only thing I listened to was Smartless. Do you guys listen to Smartless? I love it. I just go episode after episode. It's such a vanilla, because Smartless is probably the most popular podcast in the world right now. But there's a reason. It's very good. Very funny. Yeah, Goat Rodeo Sessions. The Goat Rodeo Sessions by Chris Thiele. And so it's Chris Thiele and who's the bass player? And then the cellist who's the super famous cello guy. Anyway, Go Rodeo is great. Yo-Yo Ma, there it is. There it is. And then tell me the bass player. It's Edgar Meyer. There it is. Thanks. That was gonna bug me. Edgar Meyer, Yo-Yo Ma, Chris Thiele, Goat Rodeo Sessions. Check that out also, you guys. Hi, Douglas. How you doing up there, pal? All right. Let's get back to snakes. Nope, we're getting to a super chat. Jenna McKeegan, good to see you. Glad you're here. We need another enclosure review video. Also, my house snake has doubled in size on a pinky a week. Wow, crazy. He's also antisocial and lives in his cork tube. Not sure how to socialize when I can't get to him. Thoughts? Yeah. So first of all, that's interesting that he's doubled in size. I feel like my house snake Harry is not growing very fast. Like I think he's tiny for his age, but I don't know. I only have one, so I don't know. And yeah, mine's not super social either, although I don't push him. But I would say get rid of that cork. Give him a half cork, so he's still in cork, but you can get to him. That's how I do it. But yeah, house snake, a non-socialized house snake is never going to just choose to crawl onto your hand. The choice-based thing is more of a python thing, and maybe some colubrids, but I don't think it's a house snake thing. I might be wrong. I only have one, but I know that my particular house snake is when he sees my hand, he goes the other direction. So I get him out with a hook and I put him into my hand, and then he eventually relaxes. But they're not like pythons. I want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats here. I don't think I have. Okay. Oh, and as far as the enclosure review video, Jenna, yeah, we'll do another enclosure review video, but I need to wait a little bit because that one is too recent. But we'll get to another one though. Those are fun to do. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Oh, okay. So we're on Barbara's questions. The last one was about the color, snakes preferring a different color. So now we're on to Barbara's other question. My young Hog Island boa, Lily the pink, is usually fairly placid and hangs out in the front of her tank. But when I put her in my hand to bring her out like I normally do, she came charging at me, hissing like a demon. She made it quite clear she wanted nothing to do with me other than possibly swallow me whole. Okay. She's never acted aggressive or defensive before, so it was a bit of a shock. However, I gave her a few light taps on her body and brought her out anyways. After a few minutes, she settled right down and turned back into her old sweet placid self. My question is, should I leave her alone when she does this, or should I just ignore her as I did and quietly bring her out anyways? What would you recommend? I recommend to not force them to do stuff that they don't want to do, because it will eventually ruin your relationship with them. They're going to end up not trusting you if they're like, hey, hands off, I don't feel good today, I'm not in a good mood, and you're always like, nope, you're coming out anyway. I just would keep that to a minimum, unless you have to. Sometimes you have to bring them out for some reason. But Maya has a couple times all of a sudden just gone crazy. There was a couple live streams ago where she did it for the first time right before the live stream, and I talked about it. But she's done it a couple times now where she just is like, no, hands off. And so I just leave her alone at that point, and I wait till she's in a better mood, So this is I would say doing that, picking them up anyway, is the opposite of, and has the opposite effect of choice-based handling, where we allow an animal to choose if they want to crawl onto my hand or not. This snake has no fear of me at all and totally trusts me. Even though I went in and grabbed him and pulled him out of his cage today, because so many other times I just let him crawl onto my hand if he wants to, he trusts me. And so he's got no problem with me just picking him up. But if I always went in and picked him up against his wishes, against his will, he wouldn't be too pleased with me. He wouldn't trust me. So let's see. I might put him back in a minute. You don't even know who we're at on the page. Oh, here we go. Justice says, I've had my ball python hatchling for 5 weeks now, and we'll be moving her into a new black box cage in the living room. Should I leave her alone for the first week after moving her? She adjusted well so far and has been handling great. You don't really need to for a week. I usually, if I move a snake into a different enclosure, I might leave them alone for a day or two. But usually they do just fine. It's typically the stress of the travel. First of all, traveling from a pet store, traveling on an airplane to your place, and then being in a completely different room, from the breeder or from the pet store to your house. That's a big change for a snake. But if you're in the same house and you're just giving them a new enclosure, and especially if they're doing fine in the other enclosure, like that snake and they're doing fine. If it's already a nervous snake and they're kind of teetering on the edge of doing well or not, then putting them in a new enclosure might be problematic for them. But if it's doing fine, give them a day or so to acclimate a little bit, and then you can handle them again. Elijah, thanks for the super chat. Got any tips on going bioactive for my baby snake? I would say, what are my tips on going bioactive for a baby? It doesn't really matter, if it's a baby or an adult. Make sure you're putting in plants that are safe for your snake. That's a good tip, And then as long as you do the bioactive right, that's great. I don't think that there's not really a difference though in putting together a bioactive for a baby versus an adult. you know, they're going to be in a bioactive. You know, that'll be good for them. They'll probably enjoy it. All right, I'm going to put Douglas back, and let's feed him. Let's put him back and give him some food. In fact, no, I'm not going to. I was thinking that maybe I feed him out of my hand, but I don't think I want to do that with him. I don't want to start those shenanigans. With Pip, it's one thing, but I don't think I want to do that with. I don't want to establish that as a possibility for my scrub python that he could be in my hands and then find food. You know, I don't mind it with Pip. That's never really going to be a problem with Pip, but it could definitely be a problem with my scrub python. So we'll feed him in his cage like normal. Here. Look at this. Boom. We'll just put him back in his cage here. Great. Okay. And then Stella is off her. I want to get that out, but she's right there. We'll try. We'll do it. We'll do it. She's gonna be fine. Oh, you're okay. Don't be crazy. All right. It's always a risk, you know. Stella has never struck at me. She's never bitten me, but I expect her to at some point. And oh, you need. Here we go. I expect her to at some point. And you know, she's in superfood mode, and I just reached my hand right in there, right by her face, and she reacted to it. She gave me like a reaction, but she always checks first before she bites. I'm sure that at some point I'll get bit by her because I'm not super careful, but it's never happened. So, knock on wood. Got a wood stool there that I can knock on. All right, let's see if I missed anything. Not. Let's get Douglas. Hold on. Let me. What am I feeding Douglas? Let me get some hot water going real quick. Most of these snakes are getting birds. Oh, here, hang on. I'm closing Kata's. I'm closing the bottom cage that Kata's in. That other door has been open the whole time because if she wants to come out, she can come out. But she'll smell food eventually, and she'll probably come out of where she's squished herself. And when she does, I can put her back. Amy, thanks for the super chat. I refer to my snakes as my cute little weirdos. Are there any pet names you use for yours? Not like that so much, but I don't really do the cutesy things other than I call every male buddy. Like I don't call them by their names all the time. I always just say, "Hey, buddy," and I call most of my females either babe or lady. So they all just have one name, so one or two names. All right, let me get these quail in hot water real quick. Let them float for a minute. Okay. So we're feeding Douglas a couple little quail. And then we're feeding the black-headed python some quail also. Banjo's getting 3, I think, 3 small ones, and Maya is getting 1 big one. That's how it's happening. All right. Terry asks, hi, Bob. I was wondering what 3-week-old baby ball python's temperature should be. So the temperature doesn't change based on your snake's age. So when you look at a care guide, like if you look at my ball python care guide, you'll see that I talk about 88 to 90% on the warm side and 78 to 80 degrees. Did I say percent? I meant degrees, obviously. 88 to 90 on the warm side, 78 to 80 on the cool side. That's for any age ball python. And it doesn't have to change as they grow. Fizzy, thanks for the super chat. Hang on one second. Hi, Fizzy. Good to see you. Is there a reason you want to breed Echo versus Stella? Asking because Stella's personality, food-wise, seems better. Also, is breeding for behavior even a thing with snakes? See you at Tenley. Oh, that's great. I'm glad I'm going to see you at Tenley. I'm looking forward to that. Breeding for behavior probably is a thing with snakes. Probably. I think it is, but I'm not sure. And the food thing, I think that Echo is, first of all, Stella is a weird reticulated python. This is so uncommon for a retic to not be striking when they're in food. I don't think her babies are necessarily gonna do that same thing. But the reason that we're looking at breeding Echo instead of Stella this year is that if I do a breeding loan with Garrett, Echo came from Garrett, and so I want to use one of his snakes to breed a snake that came from him. And then Stella, when I end up breeding Stella, I'll probably do a breeding loan with someone with 100% Calatoa, and we'll have locality babies. So she'll just have 100% Calatoa babies, whereas Echo will have some morph stuff with her, some small locality morph stuff. That's the plan right now, anyway. Omega, thanks for the super chat. I'm glad I caught my first live stream. I also posted the picture in the snake question room on Discord, but I have to head out, and thank you for your help. Oh, great. I'm glad you found the Discord, and I'm glad you caught the first live stream. It's awesome. Thanks for being here. And these are always up on the channel, so you can catch them afterwards. You can finish it. Like if you have to leave early or whatever, you can watch the back half when it's up later. Basil, thanks for the super chat. One of my snakes is very defensive. What should I do? I mean, it all depends on the snake. I have a number of videos on socialization on the channel that will help. That's a very big subject. There's a lot of things, but basically you've got an animal that doesn't trust humans right now, and so socialization gets them to trust humans. And there's a lot of different techniques that you can do. One of them is just the most basic thing is just sitting. You got the snake out, and you sit here. I got this super defensive scrub python that hates humans. I'm just gonna sit here, and I'm gonna be on my phone. I'm gonna read a book, whatever. The snake doesn't have to focus on me the whole time, but they know I'm here, and it's gonna make them a little bit nervous. But I'm not opening their cage. I'm not going in there. They're just getting used to seeing the big monkey, right? And Douglas saw me and he was like, "Ooh, can I come out again?" Because obviously he's not a defensive, scared scrub python. But that's one thing that you can do. That where you're not interacting with them at all, you're not making them overly scared. They're just getting used to seeing you around, and you're there, but you're not hurting them. And that's what they're scared of. They think that the big monster is going to hurt them, which I totally understand. If there was some organism that was the size of a house standing right next to me, I'd be real scared. So Okay. Oh, let's feed him, and then we'll get to the next question. So we got a couple of these quail. He quite likes quail. Hang on. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Oh. We need a target too. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. There's these green room pythons targets that Brady Bentley printed for me. They're so nice. And these are a little bit warm, but they're not super warm, but I think that'll be okay. There you go. Boom. Hey, pal. Look at this target. Just need you to acknowledge the target. There we go. Just give me some sort of target acknowledgement. Okay. Good enough. He's not super target trained yet, but he has followed it before, but that was pretty weak. I didn't warm up the head on this quail, but I think he'll be okay with it. You're gonna just slowly eat that thing. Sometimes he strikes, and sometimes he slowly opens his mouth and takes it. There you go. There you go. Yum. Good job. Good job, pal. I don't know if you can see that very well. You probably can't. Oh, here we go. You can bring it a little bit closer. Hey, that's a pretty good shot, right? So, you know, he'll just work on eating that, and then we'll feed him another one. Not the most exciting feeding, that one, but good enough. We got something going in his belly. He gets, you know, he and Koa, my Brettles python, and Bella, my coastal carpet python, are all different species, but sort of closely related. The Brettles and the coastal are closer related than the scrub python, but they're all kind of from the same region of the world, and they're all yearling pythons. And Bella and Koa especially, I feed a little bit more sparingly. Bella too. Douglas, I feed pretty heavily. He's getting 2 of these. He'll have a big lump in his belly. But it seems like Snake Treasures. Hi, Tara. Hi, and Hugs just popped in for a hi. LOL. It's very nice. That I love the energy you came in with there, Tara, because I just can imagine you jumping up and down and the big hug and everything. It's great. So Taylor, I'm glad you're back, and putting the baby to bed is way more important than the live stream. So I'm glad you're here. So anyway, you know, different species get treated differently with regard to their feeding and raising them up. I I think that with a lot of snakes, and especially with scrub pythons, I was listening to, I'm not going to think of his name, but somebody else might know who I'm talking about, put it in the chat. But he does a lot of stuff with scrubs, and he said something that makes a lot of sense to me, which is that his belief is that these snakes have a lot of growing power in the first couple of years. And so feeding them heavily for the first couple of years is a good thing to do. And then you scale it back. But the idea is that they come out of the egg super tiny, and they only have a certain amount of time to get big enough to where they're not going to be predated on by everything. So their bodies are kind of wired to grow. You know, if they can find food, they're going to use it, and they're going to grow and grow and grow for their first couple of years. So that's what I'm doing with Douglas. He's getting fed a little heavier than my carpet pythons. And they're all the same age, but his head is so much bigger than my little carpet pythons. It's really funny. And not because he's a little bit bigger because he's getting fed more. It just, scrub pythons have big heads. Epic Win 804, thanks for the super chat. Looking for name suggestions on a female cranky pie I get tomorrow. My fave right now is Nagini, Voldemort snake. Any ideas, everyone? So you guys, this is Brandon, and he has a snake that I shipped him yesterday, actually, but it got delayed 24 hours. It's fine. Just unfortunate that he didn't get it today, and he'll get it tomorrow. And this is a snake that has a she's less cranky than she was, but she came out of the egg super cranky, and she has a frowny face emoji on her back, which is just perfect for her personality. And Brandon got that snake. So give some suggestions in the chat for this cranky pie. Mayor Muse, thanks for the super chat. How do you handle the perpetually angry snake you described? Have any socialization techniques worked? What's its background? So wait, are you talking about the snake that I just mentioned, or earlier when we were talking about a snake, the other person's snake that's super defensive? And I came back and I said, here's this super defensive snake, but I was talking about the scrub python who's not super defensive. I was just using that as an example. So I don't know which one you're talking about, but in general, yes, socialization techniques work really well with cranky snakes. The one that I was just talking about, the cranky pie that went to Brandon, that snake was cranky right out of the egg, and it just needed a few sessions with the big monkey where it realized that I was safe. It needed some like calm energy with me, just sitting there calmly, not doing a ton of movement, just, you know, breathing slowly, and kind of the snakes will match your energy. So as long as you don't have crazy energy, they're going to start calming down. And it took a few weeks with that snake. But then you know, if you get an older snake that's perpetually angry. Oh, you might also be talking about the Amazon tree boas that I described that are always biting. Those, you know, I've never had one. I've worked with them quite a bit in the wild. I've found tons of them in the Amazon jungle. They're all over the place, and I've worked with them, and some of them do just fine. You know, you pull them out of a tree and they do great, but most of them are angry shoelaces, and most of them in captivity are angry shoelaces. My guess is that with some good normal socialization techniques, they'll calm down, but it's going to take some time, and it's going to take you're never going to get to a point where you can just open the cage and reach in and grab. It's going to take a lot of choice-based handling, a lot of like come out on a stick type stuff. And yeah, that's what I do for that. So I hope I sort of answered your question. Let's see how. Oh, Douglas is swallowing his. Look at that. Big lump in his neck. Look at that lump. We'll let him get that down, and then I'll give him his other one. It's pretty funny. So, oh, you know what? While we're waiting, we can feed these black-headed pythons too. Let me get to Tara's super chat real quick. Oh, that's right, Tara, you're getting that Sri Lankan. I just picked up a Sri Lankan python baby. Now that is cranky, I bet. I know I'll bring her around. I love spice. It's so rewarding when they come around. Yeah, it is really rewarding when they come around. So you guys, Sri Lankan pythons are a separate species. They're pretty rare, but they're a separate species from the Indian python, but very similar to an Indian python. But smaller. Am I right about that, Tara? I'm not sure if I'm right about that, but I think they're quite a bit smaller than an Indian python. And really cool that you got a baby. That's awesome. All right, David. Glad you were here, man. Have a good night. Okay, so let's get these black-headed pythons fed. We've got so what we've got for them is small meals. You guys, they really get fed differently. Hang on, I'll come back to the mic in a second. All right. So these black-headed pythons get, whoops, I'm missing something. Hang on. They get fed more often, but smaller meals. So they get fed twice a week. And usually, it kind of depends. Hang on, let me adjust this for you guys. Move this thing up. All right. That's good. So normally what I do is just put this somewhere and let them find it. But for the sake of this live stream, let's just get Maya over here and hand her a quail. Hey, come here, Mama. Come here. Come here. I'm just touching her back, and she thinks it's prey, so she's coming this way to see. Oh, Mama, what's this? Oh, yum. Oh, yum. You take it? Good girl. There you go. There you go. She got fish a few days ago. Occasionally, rare occasions, they get tilapia strips. So it's just raw tilapia, and I cut the fillet into strips. And hang on. I cut the fillet into strips so it's easier to feed them, but I don't want them dragging it across the ground and picking up all that substrate, because fish fillet is kind of wet, a raw fish fillet. So I just feed it to them, and I take this. I think they know now when I have the tongs, because normally when I just place things in their cage, I do it without them seeing. But if I'm feeding them fish, I have the tongs right here, and I just shove it down their throat. Basically, they open their mouth, and I kind of push, and they eat, and I push, and so it's almost like assist feeding them, but they appreciate it because they get it down quickly. So here's what we'll do for Banjo. I'm going to give Banjo one. He's got 3 of these. I'm going to give him 1 off tongs, and then and then I'll place the other ones. Oh, you know what? Let's do Douglas real quick. Hang on. I got to get the timing right on these snakes. Move this over here so that hopefully you can see. Wait, hang on. Oh my gosh. Terrible with camera placement today, you guys. All right. This is not warm at all. Gross. We have a partially severed head on this quail. And there's where we place the camera. All right, bud, look at this. You got to follow it now. Come on. Come on, we want to see you. You got to come out this way. I've kind of used this more as a food cue for him. I haven't made him follow it much. He's doing great, though. That's perfect, pal. Good job. Here you go. No? You need me to heat it up? I don't think you need it heated. I think you'll just eat this. I hope you guys can see, because I can't see what you're seeing right now. There we go. Okay. Good boy. All right. There goes Douglas. He's going to eat that, and hopefully the head stays on so he gets the whole thing. All right. Banjo is not out right now, so we're going to hold off on him. Maybe I can coax him out. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at poor Stella. She just would really like a meal. Okay. I think he's up here. We'll see if that coaxes him out, and if it does, we'll give him a quail. Okay. We'll just give that a minute. All right, let's catch up and see if I missed anything super chat wise. Okay, there's one. Hold on, let me try to get to. All right. Nathan, thanks for the super chat. Thoughts on hognose snakes? Thinking of getting one? No, I'm not thinking of getting one, but I like them a lot. I really enjoyed finding them in the wild with Dave fairly recently in Minnesota. That was super fun. I really like them. I probably won't get one. I don't feel like I need to have one here, but I think they're real cool. They're super cute. I think they're a great species for people who are afraid of snakes just because of their look. But the fact that they're mildly venomous makes them less of a great species for people who are afraid of snakes. But the chance of being envenomated by their mild venom is so low that it's not a problem. But I think just hearing, someone that's scared of snakes goes, "Oh, that one's kind of cute with its little upturned nose," and then you go, "Well, it's mildly venomous," and that freaks them out. So, but I think they're great. Here's Banjo. Banjo is starting to peek out. Let's give him a quail. Give him this one. Nice thing about black-headed pythons, they don't need their meals heated up. He's going into shed. Do you want this, pal? If you don't take it off the tongs, I'm just going to leave it for you. There you go. Yum. Yum. Good job. All right. And then we leave that one. And we leave that one. And he will eat those. Okay. We got Echo here, who knows exactly what's happening in the other cages. She's all about it. We got Douglas, who's finishing up his meal. And then Stella, who still is wishing for something. All right. So that's what's happening. We'll switch cameras. Okay. Hi, I'm almost back. Okay, I saw a couple super chats. Let's just make sure I didn't miss any others. Okay. I'm yawning already. It's only 7:30, you guys. Justice Gregory, LOL. Thanks for the super chat. Hey, Bob, my kids Mason and Zay love watching you. They're watching right now. Could you say hi to them? Of course. Hi, Mason and Zay. I'm so glad that you love watching. That's great. I like when kids enjoy snakes. That's fun. And I like when kids like listening to me, because I'm just an old man. And, you know, if kids think it's fun to listen to me, that's great. That's a great compliment. So thanks for watching, Mason and Zay. Christy Matthews, thanks for the super chat. Thank you. I love watching, learning with my daughters, Gracie and Izzy. Do you have anything special with their snake shed? Let's see. Do you do anything special with your snake sheds? Tell Kata we said hi. I will. And hi to Gracie and Izzy as well. Look at that. That's two people back to back with kids watching. That's awesome. The special thing that I do with my snake sheds is I throw them away. which I guess isn't that special. I know some people dry them out and will use them for jewelry, stuff like that. Yeah, and it's cool. Like, it's cool when you have like a new snake and they give you a full perfect shed. You're like, oh, I'm going to keep this forever. And maybe you do keep it forever, or maybe you keep it for a month and then you go, okay, that's enough. I'll throw it away now. Okay. All right, let's get a medium to large rat in the hot water for Echo. How about that? We'll feed her while you guys are here. Hang on a second. Get this hot water going. And then, you know what I'm going to do? You can't see it, but I'm just going to handle this really quick because I have a little mouse here that's just sitting. It's for Harry, so I'm just going to put this in his cage really fast. Okay. Harry's a man of routine, and as soon as the lights turn off, like the second the lights turn off, he comes out. And if I have his meal sitting on his log, he comes right out, finds it, and eats it. Pretty cool. Pip is kind of the same way. She's way more comfortable with coming out during the day than Harry is, like being brought out. But otherwise, she's in her hide all day until the lights turn out. And as soon as they're out, she's out. Okay, let me do that. Get that rat in the hot water. Okay. Hope you guys don't mind those long silences. I mean, we still have 159 people here. I don't know how many we had before I walked away, but I assume most of you are talking amongst yourself and okay with the brief silences while we get these rodents going. Oh my gosh, Ghost. I have all my snake sheds dated, named, bagged, and their prospective baby in their prospective baby containers. That's so funny. I love it. Okay, one more thing to do with this hot water. That is to turn it off. Let that rat sit there for a little bit and warm up. For Miss Echo. That right there. Okay, let's get to the next Patreon question. All right, Pedro the Python says, I bought my first python about a month ago, and I seem to be nervous to go in there and pick him up as he seems to sit in the corner looking at me. Have you got any tips to where I can pick him up and hold him without picking him up while he's looking at me? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with a snake, especially a baby snake. They're very aware of their surroundings. And if a big monster is coming in, they're going to know about it, and they're going to be looking at you. So a hook, go in with a hook. It'll be way less scary for you. And then the next question is, how often do I feed my ball python a large mouse if he's 1.5 years? As I asked the pet shop where I got him from, and they're saying every week. So I would like to clarify that. Yeah, I mean, so when I imagine a snake that's 1.5 years, I think of a snake that's about, hang on, I'm going to give you an example. I think Max is older than 1.5 years, but he's about the same size as a snake that's 1.5 years. Here's a 1.5 year old snake. The snake is on small rats. And if he didn't eat rats, he would eat 2 jumbo mice. Maybe 1 jumbo. Sometimes he'd eat 2 jumbo mice and sometimes 1, because a jumbo mouse is a little bit smaller than a small rat, and 2 jumbo mice is a little bit bigger than a small rat. So this is the size that I think of for a normal ball python that's 1.5 years old. If your snake is considerably smaller than that and still on, what'd you say, large mice? Yeah, large mice. Which a large mouse, for those of you who feed rats, a large mouse is about the same size as a rat pup. If he's considerably smaller than that and still on large mice, then that's fine to feed them that once a week. But I would try to bump them up in size and get them onto rats. I have some videos on feeding that'll help with that, where you can get an understanding of how to size the meal for them. Okay. Gina says, hi, Bob. Does your boa bury their urates and poop in the substrate? Ours does. I don't think he does, but I haven't gone in there looking. Maybe I should look and see if he buries his poop and urates. I mean, I find them in there, but maybe he's got others that he's buried. That's interesting. I don't know. Okay, this is the last one from Patreon. This was a huge long comment that I had to edit a lot from, but we'll get the gist of it. It's still pretty long, even edited. I'm free choice handling my 4-month-old ball python. I've had her for 2 months. She's my first snake, and I'm still very nervous, but doing well to work through my fears. We had a setback about 3 weeks ago with Trust and her biting me. I was trying to get a weight on her, and maybe I was getting too handsy or annoying. I used hand sanitizer to get her to release because she wouldn't let go. Okay, so that she didn't bite you because you were being too handsy or annoying. She gave you a food response bite. If they wouldn't let go and you had to do something to get her to let go, they think they're eating food. So this is a snake that gave you a food response bite. That's very different. And then she says, P.S. she actually did eat while she was in shed as well. So that makes sense. She was looking for food. She gave you a food bite. So a defensive bite, if she was scared and defensive, she would have bit and let go immediately. It's a quick bite. That's defensive. And then so there was a long story about her wrapping around cords versus letting her on the furniture versus the playpen and such. And then it was about seeing other people confidently handling their snakes and feeling out of the party because you're not confidently handling your snakes as much. So first of all that enrichment is fine. Everything that you're doing for the snake is fine. Whatever you want to do, playpen, wrapping around cords, whatever they want to do is fine. So if that's annoying that they wrap around cords, you can put it somewhere else. But then it just, it takes time. Socialization takes time, and becoming confident in it as a handler takes time. Snakes are very slow at doing things. And so it just takes a bit of time. So that's that. I think that's it for the Patreon questions, ladies and gentlemen. So I think what we're going to do is probably end this live stream with the feeding of Echo. That's how we'll do that. So let's get Echo's food real quick. Let's see. I need this. Let me get the camera set up before I get this food. Let's get this camera on her. There she is. Okay. Great. So let me just grab that rodent and we'll see how she does here. I'm going to back this up a little bit because there's a good chance that she's going to go nuts. Although there's not a big smell of rodent in the room, we've been feeding birds. So even though she's really looking for food, it's, she's not going crazy. Right there. Okay. We're going to just give her a target. Echo and Stella have had blue targets their whole life, but we switched to green recently when Brady made all these green targets. So now everybody's getting this green target, and Echo's getting used to it. Oh, she absolutely knows the target. Nice job, lady. Good job. Well done. Okay. That worked out well. That was really good. So that was clear that she knows the target. I know it wouldn't take long. It's the same shape as the blue target, you know. Oh wait, let's go. Let's do this. Show you what she's up to there. Just wrapped. It'll take her a while. Okay. All right, and just an update on Banjo real quick. He has just finished his second. You see there's one quail on there, so he just ate his second quail. He's got a third one to find. Maya ate hers. Oh no, she's still eating. That's crazy that she's still working on it. I wonder if she's eating it backwards. I don't know if you can see what's going on here. I think she's eating it backwards. So it's taken her a while. Okay. Get to these super chats. We're probably going to end shortly. You guys, we're not going to do a 4-hour live stream this time. I have a lot to do tonight. I'm traveling tomorrow at some point. Northman Serpents, thanks for the super chat. Let me know if you have a question to go with that. Oh, you do. Oh, and you did another super chat with it. Bob, hope you know we are proud of you up in Spokane. Oh, that's so nice. I appreciate that. You guys, Northman Serpent said that because I was born in Spokane and raised in Spokane. My parents live in Post Falls, Idaho, but that's basically Spokane. It's like just on the other side of the border. So they're still up there. And I'm in Spokane a lot. A few times a year at least. Just want to make sure. Okay. We got it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching this live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next month, and I'll see you next week for next week's video. All right. Bye, everybody. End stream. Here we go.